Hi, well, I'm here with Connie Field, and we're going to be looking at documentaries tonight. I love documentaries.
Yes, and what's great about the lineup that you have is that every one of those documentaries is a different documentary form, especially Araya, which is, I think, one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And in Harlan County, that's what we call verite, and those were cameras you could carry around and go in the field and just follow action and what was going on. My film, Rosie, fits in what I call the oral history tradition, told by the people who lived it. And Portrait of Jason was the only film at that time that was a single character portrait.
Shocking. It's pretty startling.
Yeah.
Well, talk about an arc of film.
Yes.
Well, we're now going to move into another documentary that is just, it's an amazing film. It's in the National Film Registry. It's been preserved. And do you remember your first experience of seeing the film?
Yeah, I saw it when it first came out in 1976. And what Barbara did, I mean, we sort of came of age in an era where your understanding of the world was changing. I mean, we were kind of children of the 60s, and we were both radicalized during that time, both of us. And one of the things people were doing was basically telling history from the perspective of ordinary, everyday people, and making points that these are the people who also changed the world. And that was something that was not being said in quote-unquote normal society. And there were things done in the 30s and the 40s, because there was this group called the Film and Photo League that did a lot of labor films during that era in the 40s. But Barbara's was special because Barbara was doing what we call, it was a new form of filmmaking called cinema verite.
Right.
That was sort of developed by the Maisel brothers, who are very famous for it, and D.A. Pennebaker. And Barbara actually worked for the Maisels. And so she was very influenced by them. The reason we could do that in that era is because it was the development of 16mm film and the development of sound that could go with it and could be portable, and you could do it in the field. As opposed to like Araya, which had 35mm cameras and everything was very big, and you could not go running after striking workers in the same kind of way. So this allowed her just to go down there and cover it. And she went down, it was over a period of 2 or 3 years that she kept going back and covering that story.
And I think she got so, I mean, again, one of the things that's so dramatic is that she becomes part of the film, so that in watching it in a modern context, it's you know, she's putting herself in harm's way.
That's true. That's true.
You can feel her getting beaten up and kicked and punched, and you know, it's
well, sort of. I mean, she left her voice in, okay, when she was asking people questions and stuff, and she also left some of the shots in when they were getting roughed up, and you can see the cameraman getting roughed up because the film was going like that.
Yeah. And so that, in a sense, that feels different, because when you think of a documentary, you think of, you know, the person just, sometimes you have, we were talking about different styles, and sometimes the style is to just observe and let the, you know, let the person and
But mostly she did that, really. It's not like today's films where filmmakers are always putting themselves in the film.
Right.
Like everybody now is doing their own narration. Alex Gibney does his own narration. And people are subjects of their own films. This was still observational, really. So I'd still put it in that category, kind of filmmaking.
It was a very emotional film for me. I thought it was very powerful, and I'm very excited that we're gonna see it. So from 1976, here's Barbara Koppel's Harlan County, USA.